Hey, how's it going? Parker Welbeck here with FullTimeFilmmaker.com, and today I'm going to be taking you through my entire Premiere Pro editing workflow from beginning to end using an 8-step process. And because of all the organic traffic that I've sent over to Adobe over the years, they wanted to return the favor, so they were kind enough to sponsor this video. So big thanks to Adobe for supporting our team at Full Time Filmmaker. But let's now dive into my full editing workflow. So I just got done shooting a 2-minute commercial for a local business, and I'm now going to walk you through my full editing process from beginning to end, showing you a condensed and simplified version of how I would go about editing together a commercial to be used as a website header or social media ad. Now, if you'd like to see an uncondensed version of my workflow, link is in the description to a 4-hour mini course deep diving into my full editing workflow in Premiere Pro. Also, make sure to check out Adobe's YouTube playlist where you can see more Premiere Pro tutorials just like these, covering specific topics more in depth. Link is in the description below. But without further ado, let's now dive in. Step number 1 is to import and prepare the footage that is going to be edited. So let's first open up our Premiere Pro application. Let's create a new project. Gonna call this Golf Loft Commercial. Choose my location to save it to. Hit OK, and we are ready to go. Come down here bottom left where it says Import Media to start. So we'll double click here. This is my 1DX Mark III footage, some screen recordings and audio. Click Import, give it a minute. And so next step I like to take here is to convert all my frame rates to the frame rate in which I will be exporting out the final video, which in this case and in almost every case is gonna be 23.976. You see most of my clips were shot on that frame rate, but you see I shot 30 frames on a few occasions and 60 frames on a few occasions for some slow motion options. So I'm going to highlight. Now I'll right click, come up to modify, interpret footage, click on assume this frame rate, and then type in 23.976. And that now converts all of my clips to the same frame rate, which in essence just slows all of those clips down to slow motion. Next step that I like to take is to bring all of my footage into my timeline, where I then like to cut and edit from the timeline. To come up to File, New, Sequence. Then you're going to create the settings for your timeline. In my case, I'm going to be doing 23.976 frames per second, and click on Settings. And I'm going to change the resolution to 3840 by 2160, which is Ultra HD or a 16:9 version of 4K, and hit OK. Then I'll come grab all my clips in my project bin and drag them onto the timeline. When this pops up, I'm going to say keep existing settings, and we're now ready for step 2, which is choosing selects on the timeline, or the sifting process of choosing what stays and what goes. When it's a commercial, hopefully you've pre-planned this a little, and I had a shot list, so this sifting process should go by quicker. So we have an hour of footage and we need to whittle it down to a 2-minute ad and a 1-minute ad. We'll make 2 versions of this. And there's a couple ways you can do this sifting process. I personally like to see it all laid out on the timeline and then just cut through each one as I go down the timeline. So my process would go like this. I'd zoom in nice and tight on this one clip. I'd hold down my mouse, grabbing my cursor to find my in point, and hit E for add edits, and then F to delete, then scroll to your out point, and then E again to add edits, click on the rest, and F to delete. And one tip to note at this point, our playback is a little bit choppy, and that's because we are using a 4K 10-bit log file from our Canon 1DX Mark III. It's got a super tough codec for Premiere to read, and so to improve playback, you can either create proxies, which I rarely do, but that's what a lot of people opt to do, or I come up here and toggle my resolution down. I usually edit in a half resolution. So we continue this process for the rest of our clips. Now I know from the footage I shot that I did 4 or 5 takes of this, and my last take was probably my favorite, so we're going to go to the very last take, get our in and out points, and I would delete the rest before that, assuming I like that as my best take. Now we have our next scene that I shot several times as well, several takes. So we're going to go to what I thought was the best take, probably the last take. Get our in point, delete everything before that, go to our out point and delete the rest. I'm basically just trying to whittle away at the unusable stuff, so we're only keeping all the usable footage on the timeline. So I'll just continue that process until I've cut through all of the clips. We'll fast forward through that, takes about an hour or 2, and then we'll move on to the next step. We have on our timeline now 6 minutes of what I would call usable footage. This is where the fun part starts, where we get to actually start building our story on the timeline. And the first step that I usually take when building a story is I like to bring in my music, decide what music I'm going to use, and in this case, bring in the voiceover as well, because the voiceover is going to kind of carry the story and help us decide which clips are going to go where. Have our voiceover set, ready to go. Now we are going to bring in our music options. So I'll bring all of those in to the timeline here. I'm going to go through, listen to each song while watching the video and listening to the voiceover to see which one has the best vibe that I think complements both the voiceover and the visuals the best. So let's mute all of these and start with our first song. Welcome to the Golf Loft. Welcome to the Golf Loft. Okay, I'm thinking I like our second option the best. Now, the next issue is this song is 2.5 minutes, and we need to make a 1-minute version of the song. Now, that is my song that I've now customized to be 1 minute long. We are now ready to start chopping through the footage and compiling a story to that voiceover and to that music. So our opening shot here is him walking into the golf loft, and I'm gonna right-click, apply default transition, and give us crossfade to match the music. Welcome to the Golf Loft. And I think I'm gonna cut on that first beat. We'd cut potentially to maybe just a jump cut, him setting his clubs down perhaps. Loft, a 2-bay private golf simulating. Next he gets his glove on. Golf simulating experience located in South. Cut on that beat again, right as he grabs the club. And I always try and cut on action. So you notice he's pulling the club. Let's cut on that action where possible. Again, cutting off of his back, coming into screen. Helps to be a little more seamless. Let's see how that looks. Located in South Jordan, Utah. Okay, now let's see how this shot works with it coming next. Leading TrackMan 4s that sport dual radar tech. When I say radar, I'm thinking I want a shot of the actual radar, such as total yardage, carry yardage. So we have a little discrepancy. The music has just hit the big beat where I wanted the first swing to be, but our footage isn't quite ready for that yet. So we might need to speed up some part of this here. And I'm thinking we just need to shorten this clip here. This is what's kind of dragging us out too long. Part of matching to the music and the pacing is sometimes adding a speed ramp here and there to kind of make clips go a little bit quicker, but still cut on the spots we want them. So for example, this shot here, hit it in South Jordan, Utah. Equip, let's speed ramp this clip out and then speed ramp into this clip. And we do that by clicking on this, coming up to effect control, time remap, select the keyframe points. And we're gonna extend this out separate from the audio. And then we're gonna raise this up 200% and then slowly have that come in, maybe 250%, a little bit quicker. There we go, until it matches on that cut. I'll see how that looks. South Jordan, Utah. Equipped with, looks a little funny. I think it starts a little too soon. So let's push that back a bit. That might be better. And then do the same thing on this end. So again, put our keyframe, and then the rest of this, we're gonna speed up to the same speed. Again, just ramp that down. Utah. Equipped with industry leading. And let's try and cut to this guy, see how that looks. In South Jordan, Utah. Equipped with industry-leading TrackMan 4s that sport dual radar technology for. So that's not my favorite cut so far, going from this screen to there. Maybe if we include some movement. So this is another way to help things cut a little bit better. We're gonna do a digital zoom here. And if you've already done time remapping, you can't do digital zoom and time remapping on the same clip. So you're gonna have to nest it first by clicking N, and then grabbing position and scale keyframes, sliding those over far right, zooming in to where you want the clip to end. Equipped with industry leading. We'll do the same thing to this. I'm just gonna copy and paste. We'll do motion, and that will give me the same amount of zoom in, and maybe again on this clip. Okay, so let's see how we're looking so far. South Jordan, Utah. Equipped with industry-leading TrackMan 4s that sport dual radar technology for. So maybe we do a clip of this one where I see the golfer in the background prepping to shoot. Let's see potentially if that one would work well there. Same thing, we're going to give it some nice motion. Let's try this now. Industry-leading TrackMan 4s that sport dual radar technology for, and let's get ourselves a swing. So go ahead and chop that there. So let's try this clip in here, see how she looks. Technology for incredibly accurate club and ball depth. I have tons of shots of him swinging. I may use a different one here. All right, so we found another clip that we might like better. Technology for incredibly accurate club and ball data, such as, could also do a similar zoom here for incredibly accurate club and ball data. And for the sake of time, we'll fast forward through building out the rest of the story, but basically I'm just listening to what the voiceover is saying and finding visuals to match, and then cutting to the beat of the music and adding speed ramps or digital zooms where they help the edit flow together more seamlessly. And then